Reality NSFW fans around the world, I am back in action with Alex Trias, Sack Daddy, to break down episode 2 of Survivor 41. Last week, we were in Louisville, Kentucky at Play Louisville, where we did an awesome viewing party. Met a lot of cool people, and it was a great time. And typically, Alex, in these live events, Johnny and I would try to do a live podcast, which is fun when we're doing it, but typically the audio sucks. So for the premiere, Johnny and I were just chilling, doing the viewing party. Tonight, Johnny Fairplay is at the Guns N' Roses show. So, God, Johnny, you're getting to see Axl Rose and fucking Slash, and you're missing out on Survivor. But last week, you held down the fort with Lex Vandenberg, which I love Lex, and I listened to the podcast you guys did. First of all, thank you for doing a great podcast. And it was such the premiere episode. Johnny and I obviously didn't really get to give our thoughts on it, but watching you guys killed it, and I absolutely loved the premiere. And episode 2, I'm just as stoked as ever getting into this newbie season. For several seasons leading up to season 40, we had some hit or miss seasons. I mean, especially podcasting about it would get difficult at times. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, man, I'm not even looking forward to doing a podcast about this episode, but I am fucking looking forward to this shit. And this is literally the first time that I have been able to podcast about the show that I love. The reason why I started podcasting with Johnny Fairplay was not for all the other reality TV shows that we cover on Reality NSFW, but it was about Survivor. So we've been covering Australian Survivor, which is phenomenal, by the way, for those of you who've never seen Australian Survivor. I would highly recommend it. I mean, Alex, you were saying Paramount Plus has a bunch of seasons.
Yep.
And then on the Patreon side for Reality NSFW, we're doing some rewatches of older seasons and breaking it down. So, dude, where are you at right now as a huge Survivor fan? Episode 2, we start out, Alex, with there's no previously on. There's no it just goes right into the episode.
Yeah.
And so what do you think about that, missing out on the intros like they do in the past, or like they do in Australian Survivor? How are you feeling about it?
So when this started happening like a couple seasons ago, I want to say my initial reaction was just based off what CBS puts on after Survivor, there's no reason that CBS shouldn't want to pay more to put Survivor on for 90 minutes. If you put it for 90 minutes, we get everything we have from this episode, maybe even a little bit more. And you get your intro, you get your previously on Survivor, you get the cutaway scenes where you get to see all the cast members, the old seasons.
Right.
I think it's just they're in this spot where they're we need to play to the super fan, and the super fan wants to see gameplay. They want to see it right from the get-go, wire to wire. You're getting strategy, you're getting social game, you're getting the Survivor experience, and they're taking away some of the TV aspects of what makes it a show.
Right. No, that makes total sense. And I tell you what, last week was a 2-hour episode. And so this, for me, this episode 2 there was so much packed into it. And we didn't even get to see a lot of other players.
Yeah.
In confessionals and so forth that I really like Deshaun and JD, and so it just, the episode flew by, and tons happened, and I swear it's always happens when I do a cast assessment. We did 3 different cast assessments for these tribes. I thought I was gonna hate Evie, but I am loving her gameplay, and as I'm watching, I'm sitting next to my wife, and she's like, man, she's kind of playing both sides. That's kind of like how you play the game, Matt, a social game. And she knows how to make relationships. She's very, very smart. Now, I think that she might have made a little bit of mistakes tonight in this episode, because I think that she is a player that is great at making relationships. And there are, several things that you see. There's challenge beast and there's strategic players. And do you keep the tribe strong, or do you keep the alliance strong? And I think with this shorter season that we're dealing with, and Probst is like, this is a monster, it's going to be super fast gameplay. It is super fast gameplay, and I'm
It
digging it.
is. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the fast gameplay for me is exciting because I'm someone who's played like Survivor online. I did a 1-day Survivor game, which is fast paced, so it reminded me of sort of that. But yeah, I think Evie is definitely surprising people with very different sort of from her bios. Like she's still very woman strong, wants to go with the women. We see that throughout the episode. It's like her internal debate of, do I stick with my like belief system of we never see women stick together on Survivor. I should set this up. I have two people that'll be loyal to me. But I think with her, she does such a good job of connecting people. There was no one on that tribe that didn't feel good with her. So I think she had the disadvantage of everyone's good with me, so I can't really weigh my options as like critically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, what do you think when she? I mean, we're seeing a lot of airtime for her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's dominating. It's almost like when Rick Devens played Survivor, or Cochran on my season of Survivor Caramoan, we see a ton of confessionals. She is dominating confessionals. Yeah. Even in the first episode, she had a ton, and this episode by far. But yeah, I think that she's smart, but tonight I feel that the way things ended up was not the best strategic move.
No, yeah,
and honestly, Johnny is not here tonight to pay his respects to neurosurgeon Dr. Death Voce. I mean,
wait, did he mention that?
I love it, dude. I love it.
Go buy his shirt.
Yeah. Buy it now. Buy it now. But anyways, we start off where with Brad is basically sitting around the UA camp, and I guess he's not able to sleep, and JD's like, man, just get some rest or whatever. And we see JD and Ricard are like, hey, let's go to the water, and obviously they're going to do some strategizing. So all of a sudden, Brad must not be tired anymore, because he's got this wild idea of, I think I can run down the beach and beat them. So he runs down the beach and without them knowing, and jumps in the bushes a la Tony Vlachos in a miniature spy shack scenario. But I mean, not really, but kind of. Yeah. He's at least smart enough to hide, to try to listen in. So like, I give Brad props for trying to do this, considering I wouldn't think Brad to be, watching him in episode 1, to be this savvy as a player to try to like spy on people.
Yeah, like I don't think he was savvy about it, because like both the women immediately are like, what the fuck's he doing? Like, why is this 50-year-old man sprinting across the beach? But like he said, like he has his hunter background. I loved it. Like as a character, loving Brad right now. Does he have any traction in this game? None whatsoever. But
I love the unpredictability of like this move, and then as we saw last week when he's like tells the two girls like, oh, it's either going to be, one of the two of you is going to go home. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So he is able to make it in the bushes, listen in on the conversation, and run all the way back to camp and get there before they get back.
But if we stop there for a minute, because like the conversation that they're having at the water well and everything is like, Ricard's trying to like reassure JD. So something happened in these first few days, because the story in the premiere was Ricard's against JD. It's JD or bust. Obviously, we find out later on that like everyone knew it was going to be the Sarah vote. It's Ricard who brings up Brad, But Brad's upset with JD because of how JD reacted to it. So he's not mad at Ricard for saying his name, but he's mad at JD for how he responded. So I think that's hilarious. And then like they all talk about like Ricard's like, he just thinks you have an idol. You're okay, JD. Brad comes running back, tells Chantel, I think JD has an idol.
Yes. And the thing is, basically, Ricard ends up knowing the whole deal of what went down. You know what I mean? Like, so the thing is like Brad, he's doing this stuff, but Ricard is no dummy. And that's the thing. Ricard wants Brad to go based off of Brad's erratic gameplay and behavior. I don't think Brad, as much as we enjoy him as a character, and it's like, God, dude, this dude's wild. It's just wild is not something that you want on your side. If I'm out there, Brad seems like a cool guy and he's great TV. But if I'm playing the game, I'm be like, dude, this guy's. Am I going to, make an alliance with Brad and be like, Brad, let's try to blindside this person, and then Brad's could be like, oh, hey, by the way, we're voting you out tonight. I'd be like, why are you? He's the kind of guy that would tell all his cards. And I just think that that's dangerous. So there is no way in hell that Brad is staying in this game. Ricard and some of these other players are way too smart to keep that guy around.
Right. Like, I think, like, you hear Ricard say, but I think the more important person, because we don't get to hear a lot of, the only people who get confessionals are Brad about his paranoia. Yeah, Ricard talking about why he wants Brad out. But the more important one, I think, is Shan or Chantel.
Yep.
Ives, like, she has her pulse on the tribe. She's in... and we lost Matt briefly. So I will just speak while we hopefully get him back. But yeah, Chantel's sort of in the Evie spot of it all, where she has everyone trusting her. Like, we don't hear anything from Jeannie, but we just have to assume Jeannie's good with her too. And that's sort of Matt's back.
Dude, I'm all of a sudden in the middle of the fucking podcast, it said my whole screen went black. So go on what you're saying.
Yeah. So essentially, to re-sum it up, I just said that Chantel is sort of in Evie's position where everyone in that tribe is trusting her.
Yes.
She has all the... So I see Shan as a long-term player in this game. Obviously, we don't get enough to see because they're not the tribe going to tribal council. Mm-hmm. But I sort of feel now, it seems the layout is it's Shan, then underneath her is JD and Ricard, then Jeannie, and now Brad's at the bottom because Shan's like, if he's going to do that, he could do that to me.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of Jeannie, Jeannie's worthless of a player right now. I have not seen her do a single thing, a single confessional. Now, she may be the greatest person in the world, but as far as like looking at this tribe, I definitely like Shan, Ricard, JD. I mean, it's and Brad's entertaining, but I definitely think that there's definitely some strong people on this tribe and people that are like, there's no way they're gonna go far. Then we go from here to the Luvu tribe.
Yes.
And we see Deshaun trying to make fire. And so it's one thing, you guys, to practice making fire before you go out there with flint and all that stuff. But when you are out in the game of Survivor, sometimes it's not as easy as it might be in your backyard. Because as a viewer, you're like, oh, come on. They didn't practice this and have it dialed. But Deshaun's having a tough time because he's using the big machete to try to do it and whatnot. And this is where I am in love with Nasir as a player.
Yeah.
I just seeing these backstories as well. Like the guy grew up in Sri Lanka and he, didn't have a shower. Like he took a bath in the river behind his house. They had no electricity. He's like, we ate, coconut or rice or whatever they ate. And we get some vegetables from the garden, but he's like, we were happy. And it just got me thinking, like, we are so spoiled by, this place doesn't have Wi-Fi, or, just taking for granted the luxuries that we have in life. And just seeing how Nasir grew up, and so this is a guy that the elements in this game, especially it's a shorter game, even without food, this guy's this no problem. So I love seeing his home life and his house and stuff like that. And I love seeing Nasir start a fire. So he is a huge asset to the tribe. I know, like, Sydney was like, oh, at first we were like, maybe we should get out Nasir at some point, but this dude's a
He's essential.
provider for our tribe. And I also don't think that he's, going to be on everyone's radar as a huge, like, physical threat. But I tell you what, Nasir is a type of player that if he can sneak by, he's going to be the most likable dude at the end of the game, and people would give him the $1 million. The only downfall for that is the fact that he is such a nice guy that some people will be like, dude, this fucking guy has to go, because if they're going to, the jury's going to give this guy $1 million if he makes it to the end of the game.
Right. Like, me and my friends, like, we rank the players, like, each week, like, to sort of go, like, who we think is safest and who's, like, most exposed heading into the next episode. And we were all, like, almost across the board, we were like, one of the lowest people on total. It's Nasir. Just based off that, you can't see how he turns it around, and we get to watch him turn it around. And I agree with you. I love seeing the backstory video, and it's almost like, for a rare moment, US Survivor pulling from Australian Survivor, because they are seeing, we saw across Australian Survivor, they do all those videos from home and from the work, like, where they work, and you get that background story, and they're trying to really hit that home here. I hope that's something that's more than just this season, because I really like it. It allows us to get to know these people more than just as characters, but as people. But Nasir, love him. I love him as a player. I might just love him as a person. Like, he's someone who I think if he can get there, I think he has a body type for these immunity challenges.
Oh yeah, I do too. I mean, you never know, like, what the challenge is going to be. Like I said, we saw on my season, John Cochran won the game, and he's like, not the most athletic type person in the world. So Nasir, I love the guy. I hope he stays around. And again, yes, I can do without the intros and the previously ons if you give me some of that background. And it only needs to happen as character development, you know what I mean, in these first few episodes, because it really, for me, sometimes it's hard. I'm like, fuck, what's that guy's name? But seeing those background stories, I'm already, JD was, not always the cool kid with dreads and this and that, and Ricard's story, and it just, everyone, Voce. I mean, these little clips really help out. And I also want to say, last week during the premiere, there was a lot of things done on Survivor, like seeing the production crew and just seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff. And I thought that was really fucking cool, but I'm glad that they didn't, like, shove that down your throat again in this episode. I mean, we do see when Tribal Council starts, Jeff talking straight to the camera to the viewer at home. Hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that this episode as a whole, as we're dissecting it, had the perfect amount of, backstory, etc., without overdoing it. I thought it was brilliant.
I think the only thing I wish we could do more, just so, like, because everyone wants to look at that. I look at the edit all the time. I want them, like, we didn't hear from 3 people on this tribe. We didn't get a single confessional from Heather. She's only had 1 confessional in 3 hours of footage so far. Erica only has 1 confessional, I believe, in 3 hours of footage. She had 0 tonight. Danny was such a big character in the first episode. Danny was nowhere to be found this episode.
I know, and I think it's because, and I 100%, just because they win? I 100% agree with you. Well, I think since there's 3 tribes, they're having to split, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there. I think if it was 2 tribes, I think we would get more of the Dannys and stuff like that. Because it was dominated by Evie and Xander, Tiffany,
Right.
which honestly, based on early on in this episode, I was like, shit, some of these people are getting a lot of confessionals. Is this like, even when the show started out with Brad, Brad had a lot of confessionals early on in this episode. I thought, oh, Brad's probably getting voted out tonight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
we go now to the Yellow Tribe. Yase, or what did Jeff call it? I call it Yase, but it's not. What's the pronunciation?
I thought he said Yase.
Okay, maybe that is pronunciation.
Maybe he said Yasa. I don't know.
Yeah, he may have.
Like
So Tiffany, we see, is starved. They show in the camp.
Mm-hmm.
She's obviously like, I can't hardly stand up straight, because the thing is about this season, you guys, is they are not giving them food. So they're looking in the ocean and whatever that they can find. So although it only is day 4, when you're not have a supply of certain things that you need, which is food, you get kind of delirious. And I think Tiffany, obviously, with the lack of food and lack of sleep, made her not only suck in the challenge that happens, but also, creates paranoia when your mind is not thinking straight, which I think that that paranoia, once that starts kicking in, I'm just like, God, could you please just like tone down the paranoia? Because if you continue with that kind of vibe, that's a big red flag.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Xander and Liana are the only ones at camp. They're like, where is everybody? So Xander's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go look for this advantage. And as we saw last episode, Jeff had hid that in the tree, which Tiffany went right by it and missed it. Xander ends up finding it. And the trick is with this, it's called a beware advantage, where you can open it, but there could be something that's kind of risky maneuvers. Or if you say, look, I want to wipe my hands clean of this, you can just put it right back and not even fuck with it. And I love the fact that he actually opens up this advantage, because when Johnny and I were at the viewing party last week and Deshaun did not do the risk deal, he did the play it safe.
Danny.
Yeah, Danny did
Yeah.
the play it safe thing. We're like, like Johnny's like, man, this is Survivor. You got to take risks. So Xander is taking risks, and he's only a 20-year-old kid. So I give him props for doing this. But man, the twist on this advantage is a pretty
brutal.
It is. It's like, yes, you can potentially have a 3-way idol if everyone on the other tribes also find this. So that's cool. But until that happens, you lose your vote. And correct me if I'm wrong. If no one of those other players find it and he goes to tribal the next 2 or 3 times, he doesn't have a vote any of those times. That is fucked.
Yeah. It's not even that they find it. They all have to say the really stupid lines. And what's going to be funny is Xander, once again, will have next episode is going to have to say that stupid line again about butterflies looking like your dead relatives are back to life or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's crazy talk. Like, you see how they react when he says it the first time. Like when he says it again, like it honestly, like for me, I probably would have been too like, I would probably want to like hide it again and have an ally take it.
Yeah, right.
And so then I'm like, I know who has it, but I'm
Yeah.
not the one taking the risk with it, because like it's great that he took the risk. It's horrible, I feel, that he immediately went to basically the rest of his tribe and go, hey, I also have this now, and I have the extra vote. Look at me, I have everything. This
I know.
is how all of them work.
Yeah, he's playing his cards too much, dude, because Xander now looks like, I mean, if I'm looking at Xander, if I'm playing the game, I'm like, dude, like, you're savvy enough and risky enough to find advantages and do this and that. Like, dude, like, that's pretty dangerous. So I, on the other hand, would not, like, as much as an idol would be cool, not having your vote, dude, is like such a huge disadvantage
At
that I
5
would not be
people
stoked on that. Yeah. I
and
mean,
maybe
it's
at 4.
ridiculous. Yeah. And the thing is, not only is it fucking him, but as someone in his alliance could be going home because he doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people can be impacted by this. So the other two tribes, yes, would have to find this also. Yeah, and he has this stupid saying, which I think I'm gonna love it if he has to do this every time just to see people's reactions. Um, but we see the scene with Xander, Voce, and Evie talking about Tiffany.
Yeah.
You know, Tiffany's kind of uh, viewing the tribe as a whole. Tiffany would seem like an obvious, like, kind of vote if you're, anytime you're playing Survivor, she's like, well, she's probably not going to do great in challenges. We probably need to get her out of the
Yeah.
game. You know what I mean? But Evie feels that, Xander needs to go because she's no dummy. She knows that he has all these crazy advantages. And when you have those kind of advantages, that puts a target on your back. And what do you think about her wanting to target him at this point?
I feel when you look at it broadly, it makes sense. Like she sees someone who's capable of finding advantages, has already gained an advantage, so you know that he's a risk taker. Counterbalance it, she feels he's loyal to her. So like I don't feel if they're loyal to you and have that power, I feel
That
like
could be an advantage to
utilize,
you.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Right.
But it's sort of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I feel she's someone who is playing the individual game instead of realizing, yes, you're on Survivor, you're in this element, you're still in a tribe. Like you can have your loyal soldiers, but if you go in with 3 people and the other 2 tribes don't lose,
Right.
like your win like ratio is extremely low.
Right.
It's not impossible, but low.
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly what you said. Yes, he's a threat, but if she's, if he is trusting her and vice versa, she can use that to her advantage. And at the end of the day, he is on the young side
Yeah.
of the tribe, and sometimes younger people make dumb mistakes. I mean, look at Eric Reichenbach when he gave his idle away. He was a younger player, and I don't know how old he was, but I'm just saying, like, I think that using Xander to her advantage now, it's still so early in the game.
Right.
And I think Evie is very smart and very capable of going deep in this game. I just think, like you said, yes, it's almost like she's playing this game as if she was like, if this was post merge and so forth.
So I want to run something by you because it's just something that popped in my head right now, because I have a belief that for most times when you try to pull someone along that we see who's can be a little bit more paranoid or a little more erratic just because of the Survivor environment, it reminds me a little bit of a situation someone on your tribe was in, where you had like the Shamar of it all, where
Right. Yeah.
they wanted to drag Shamar because they're like, oh, he'll be loyal and he's also a goat, but you can only drag these people so far, and you can't expect to drag them from the beginning all the way to the end.
Right. Oh yeah, totally. I mean, that's why Survivor's such a hard game, because it's like you're out there and you're trying to play this strategic game and you got your social stuff going on. And I think, like I said, Evie's real good at that. And we have a lot of social players. Danny, likable guy. JD, likable guy. We got a lot of strong social players. And that's why I think the season is going to get really good, because people are here to play the game, and unexpected people are going to be going home. I think there's going to be a lot of blind sides, and I think that's when Jeff, is talking about this season being real crazy and fast paced. We're kind of already seeing that. So Tiffany, Evie, and Liana talking about how much power Xander has, I like Evie's position of playing both sides. I think she's in a really great position. It really reminds me a lot of my game, although I wasn't like shown necessarily as much as Evie, but that's kind of the game I was playing. Make relationships with everybody and figure out which way that you want to go. And I kind of like it never really totally works out, but they're wanting to keep a girl power alliance going. And I think it's funny because even, Liana is playing a smart game. She's like looking at her options and she's kind of playing both sides as well. So, yeah. So I'm kind of stoked, man.
Yeah, like I honestly think of the three women long term, I think Liana is in the safest spot. Like Tiffany's also in a safe spot in terms of if they swap. And it's another thing that you need to think about when you're on that island. It's like they're talking about swapping, or if you swap or don't swap. Like if you do swap, who is the other tribe more willing to get rid of? Are they going to get rid of a Tiffany who they see as like, oh, she can be a tag along? Like, who is she hurting by existing?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to take a Xander out? Are you going to take a David out?
Right.
Like before you?
Yeah.
So like, I think it's something that a mistake that a lot of Survivor players have is understanding in this early portion of the game. Yes, you want to bring weak people along that will also align with you, but you have to know when to cut bait with them early too, because you need to have your shields. You need to have people that are shields that will also work with you.
Oh yeah. Right on, dude. Well, before we get into the immunity challenge and everything else on this episode, let's take a quick word from our ultimate sponsors, man.
Lucy Nicotine is a company founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner nicotine alternative. Finally, tobacco alternatives that don't suck.
Researched and developed for 3 years to be made for people, not patients. Lucy has created a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine in cherry ice flavor. Each and every flavor actually tastes great, and it's convenient and discreet. Products can be enjoyed anywhere, on flights, at work, on the go, or even in the gym.
I am so happy that Lucy is sponsoring us. Ever since they came on board, I have gotten no less than 5 of my friends transitioned over to Lucy and put their cigarettes down. They like the gum. I'm used to seeing the packages all around. This stuff is great, and it's really helping people make much healthier choices. So get on board and join the Lucy movement.
Hey, it's 2021. Get rid of your cigarettes, unplug your vape, throw out your dip, and get some Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. This is the real deal. A subscription to Lucy comes directly to your door each month. It's so simple that you don't even have to leave your house because Lucy has delivery down.
Reality NSFW listeners, go to lucy.co and use promo code SURVIVOR to get 20% off all products, including gum or lozenges. That's lucy.co and use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Also, I have to give this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's lucy.co, and be sure to use that promo code SURVIVOR.
This episode of Reality NSFW is sponsored by BlueChew. Say it with us, BlueChew. BlueChew is making waves and bringing more confidence to the bedroom by offering chewable tablets that can help men get stronger and longer lasting erections. That's right, we're giving away super hard dicks.
BlueChew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. BlueChew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED.
BlueChew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor offices, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online.
BlueChew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? No problem here. BlueChew's sildenafil and tadalafil tablets are chewable. BlueChew's tablets are made in the USA and they prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy.
Hey, if you're looking to give that immunity idol to someone, or you don't want to be voted out of a crater, don't worry, BlueChew's got you covered. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try BlueChew free when you use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew, BlueChew.com, promo code SURVIVOR to receive your first month free. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring the podcast.
Sack Daddy, we are back. It is immunity challenge time, but you also get a reward as well. You get fishing gear, which on my season, for example, not winning fishing gear, not a big deal because there really was no fish out there in the Philippines. It's sometimes you're on a beach where there's good coral reefs and fish, but nevertheless, you do get a little bit of a reward and immunity, and 2 tribes will get immunity instead of just 1, which I like this. I wasn't sure what to expect on a premiere episode being 2 hours if there was going to be a double boot, which there was. But tonight at the immunity challenge, this challenge before this thing even goes down, Jeff brings everybody in. Xander gives this little introduction speech and he says the thing about the butterfly. It was just so fucking hilarious because, like you said, he's going to have to say this every single time in order to make this thing work. Now, what do you think about this? Are you liking this twist? I know in the Survivor realm of, social media and stuff, some people want to go back to a more basic, old like school, less twists and stuff. But, you're kind of a younger person in the grand scheme of things and a huge fan of the show. Do you like the twists, and do you like this in particular one?
So for me, I'm someone who's very much like hit or miss with certain advantages and how they play out. So for this, I literally do need to see how it plays out. I like the idea that it's not just a cakewalk to get the idol. Like, you don't just get to just put your hand in a hole and like, oh, I have the idol now. It's now, not only do you have to do it, but you have to earn it. And if you don't earn it, you're fucked.
There's a big penalty happening with the losing your vote deal. Yeah, you're totally screwed.
Yeah, so for now, I like it. I think I also like it because it, like, just preseason wise, Xander wasn't necessarily someone who I was like actively rooting for. So I was like, as long as it wasn't someone who was like one of my preseason favorites, I'm like, you can handle it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I give him props for being a young guy who's going for it, and he doesn't seem like totally awkward. Like we saw last week, JD kind of, when he was trying to lie about trekking up that mountain and how that whole thing went down, you could kind of tell he was stumbling around. Xander seemed pretty convincing, although people were like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But this challenge, man, you basically, it's a dive down and get a key. There's a lot of swimming involved. Go through an obstacle course, almost like across a balance beam, and then it ends in a puzzle.
There's no over or under stuff.
There was no over under stuff, but I'm liking I love puzzles. So our friends over at Vexel Puzzles is going to be busy this season, I think, making replicas of these puzzles. But the first group of people, first of all, Heather, I guess it is, sits out of the challenge. And man, I had to think about it because I'm like, we haven't really seen much of her.
Unfortunate.
So for Uwa, it's Jeannie swimming first, Sydney for Luvu, and Xander for Yase. And man, I mean, Jeannie again. I kind of forget that she's even in this game, and even someone like Sydney, who I was really excited to see play this game, and I don't know. I think she could be a strategic player. We really haven't seen much of Sydney.
Right. And I think it's just a disadvantage of being on the winning tribe
It
to
is.
start
Yeah.
out. Because like the only people we have heard from, we heard Danny last
Yeah.
episode. We hear a little bit of Nasir. We hear a little bit of Deshaun, and we've heard I think 2 confessionals now in
Mhm.
2 episodes from Sydney. And it looks like in the preview for next episode, Sydney may be involved in whatever this island twist is for
Right.
the next episode. So who knows? Lulu's such a hard try for me to figure out
Mhm.
what the structure is, especially now that they're like, oh, we like Nasir now.
Mhm.
Because they may be one of those tribes where like, oh, we love each other. Who's gonna go out?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I mean, we see Danny when he gets to his part of the
Well,
challenge.
he
Danny
crushes
is
it.
killing it, dude. Tiffany, on the other hand, totally sucking. And what I don't understand, when Tiffany gets to the part of the challenge where you have to go across a balance beam thing, she keeps falling. And I'm just like, why doesn't she do what everyone else is doing? And she finally does that. Everyone starts sitting and squatting and scooching your way across.
Right.
If I'm on a vacation, I go to the Smoky Mountain National Park every year for spring break. We go to these mountain streams, and there's always a big tree that's, you know, laying across this like really crazy stream with waterfalls and shit. And you're like, it's kind of dangerous. And you want to go from one side to the other. That every time if there's a log, I just straddle across and get
Yep.
across safely. It might take a little more time, but you're going to get over that. And I think sometimes people get stuck in the moment of, I just got to try to, walk across this. But Tiffany not only is not the most athletic person on the planet, but you can definitely tell that the lack of food, lack
It's
of
getting to
sleeping,
her.
it's majorly getting to her.
Yeah. Yeah. And like what I didn't like, because there's always that one person who doesn't do well on the balance beam. I'm like, this is the Sari moment.
That's what
get
yes.
over it. You can, and then you hear Jeff like motivating her, like
know.
forgetting about everything else that's happening with the other 2 tribes with their puzzles. Like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Push. I was hoping that we would get one of his signature dig womans that I feel like we haven't heard since like San Juan del Sur. I was like, oh, come on, do it. But like, yeah, you either straddle it, or I feel like you do what Liana and Danny did, where they didn't walk it, they ran across it. Like they didn't give the balance beam time to let it totter. They're like, I'm just gonna run. If I fall after, I fall after.
Right.
But,
yeah, exactly. Just like going for it and just like hopping across it real quick. Yeah, I think that's also a good strategy. Now, what I do like about this Sari moment, as you just mentioned, is for the viewers at home, if you are sit on the couch, you might be able to relate to, Tiffany. That's why I like the different age groups, and that everyone is not a super athlete or a Mactor type person. We have this diverse cast, and I'm enjoying these moments. Nasir killing it. And then, I mean, I don't know. The challenge was good, but it was just kind of a typical Survivor challenge. Nothing, I'm used to right now watching Australian Survivor challenges. There's some crazy ones, but this is a good challenge. I mean, it ends with a cool puzzle. It's like a turtle.
I love it because it's just like, it's a shell with turtles. So there's not like a clear cut, like, oh, this is a square puzzle. Things should go in a certain way. Like, no, you have to really twist it around and really find out where each like circular, like, or not even circular, it was like almost like hexagonal pieces would go. And you saw like the Uwa tribe was like really struggling finding that like one, but once Ricard found that one, it was like everything came together. But Luvu, once again, not only are they strong physically, they got Deshaun and Erica, the smaller girl, like they are crushing these puzzles. Like that, I know. Like, I don't know where they're going to lose a challenge.
I know. I mean, they were dominating, and again, like you said, once Ricard and JD figure it out, I think it's like confusing, but then all of a sudden the light bulb clicked for them. to where they can figure it out. So I'm going to love seeing a little miniature replica puzzle of this because it looks extremely fun. So Luvu wins. Ua gets second. So they both get a little bit of fishing gear as well. And then here's the twist again. So Luvu, who wins, has to pick 2 people to get on the boat and go away again, which I would be like, shit. I would not at this point or any point really wanting to go on this boat. And so Evie, especially when it's like having to go to tribal council and not being able to strategize. Yeah, that's a humongous disadvantage. So Luvu picks 2 people. Evie goes, and then kind of Deshaun decides just kind of, yes. And I noticed like Jeff Probst's voice was getting very hoarse.
I think it was from all that yelling at Tiffany.
Dude, and we even see it's hoarse at tribal council later that night as well. So Jeff's losing his voice. That doesn't happen very often. It's
just
I think the excitement I think of that he is obviously having this season for being back for the first time in so long since COVID, that I think that all plays a part in this. So so they go off on the boat. Then we see the Yase tribe, Tiffany kind of apologizing by her poor challenge. I mean, it was just like, but at the same time, even though she's apologizing, she also feels confidence that, man, this is not all about challenges. So I'm really not that concerned.
I was so shocked by that confessional because I'm like, okay, that was the confessional where I was like, okay, Tiffany's going home. They never show a confessional like that for someone who does not go home.
Right. Oh, yeah. Right. Showing someone that's like, oh, yeah, I suck, but I'm still confident.
I got the numbers.
I
got the numbers.
And the funny thing you say about that, too, is we see another confessional where she acts like, I hope I'm not one of those survivors that thinks that, I forget what she says, but basically, yes, she's it's type of thing where you don't want to like look stupid on TV. And it does seem like, man, maybe she is going to be the one freaking going home. But we know that Xander cannot vote. So Voce is tripping out because, dude, like, you're in my alliance, but you can't vote. That really kind of sucks because that puts, everyone in danger when you don't have a vote, especially when there's only this small of a group at your tribe.
Right. And like in Voce or Dr. Def's mind, it's like, it's him, Xander, and Evie are the 3. Then he's like, well, Liana sort of like can be a tag along. So he tries to work on Liana. And Liana, like, Liana's playing good survivor. She's saying yes. She's placating to Voce. She's not like backing down. She's like, that makes sense. Yeah. I'm totally for it. Immediately goes to Tiffany and goes like, this is what's happening. And Tiffany, that's when like her paranoia just like snaps her. And she's like, oh, I'm so angry. We should vote out Voce. That's what should happen. And Leon's like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah. And she and Liana is worried that Tiffany is going to do something dumb, and because she is,
and she does,
she's thinking so erratically, and this paranoia, this early in the game from Tiffany is not a good sign.
No.
That, along with her shitty challenge performances, is a recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
It's horrible. Like spoiler alert, I think it was horrible voting out Voce tonight. Like you can't keep erratic players around because you may think they're your number. You go home before the erratic player.
Yeah, right.
Like every 9 times out of 10, erratic player stays and blows up your game, even though of all the work you're doing to keep them around. Right. It's not worth it. Not this early in the game.
So not only, Tiffany seems like an erratic player. Brad seems like an erratic player. those, like, if I'm out there, I'm like, ugh, red flag. I mean, I think Tiffany is kind of like, I think she's likable. She's kind of like that New Jersey style person to where, hey, she could somehow swindle her way. Cause I mean, she obviously tonight caused enough of a ruckus with her paranoia to change the outcome of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
um, I don't know.
I don't think she made the change though. Like, I think Evie, like, she made the change from her, like, being erratic. She didn't control the vote. Like,
Right, right.
Liana and Evie decided, okay, we'll take out Vochi. By taking out Vochi, she will stay with us. But, like, if she had that paranoia now with 4 people, or 5 people,
Mhm.
and you had the scapegoat of Vochi,
Right.
we get to, let's say Xander's idol still is not active next round, and Yasa loses again.
Mhm.
What makes you think Tiffany will not freak out and try to say one of your names?
Yeah.
If Xander plays the idol, it can't work. But if he plays it,
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my God, I would have been losing my fucking mind on that beach if she kept
Oh,
doing that
yeah.
to me.
And the thing is Evie is so smart that she tells Tiffany, like, that she kind of tells everything about, look, the idol has to be this, this, this. Like,
But she's not
don't.
listening.
No, I know. It's crazy. So we see Evie and Deshaun.
Yeah.
They get to the, when the boat drops them off, they again have to trek up to the top of this mountain. It's the same deal as before, where you're going to either be able to choose risk or save your vote. I am loving Evie's gameplay as far as
Yes.
making relationships, knowing that in the future you have to work with other people, whether it'll be a swap or a merge. So although it sucks that she's not back at camp to strategize on, when tribal's coming up, she is able to make relationships with Deshaun.
Right.
And so I'm real, and she's honest with them, but not giving away everything, but giving away enough information where Deshaun kind of knows kind of what's going on with Xander back at camp.
Yeah, so there's two separate things I want to sort of talk about this scene overall, because obviously we see, like, end result stuff. She tells Deshaun to risk his vote. She obviously has to protect hers because she tells him the situation. So they both make those choices. Okay, cool, done. And
Right.
she tells him about information of how Xander found his idol and how he can find it at his camp. But it's alluded that that's the case.
Right.
Part one is, do you think because she hates getting this individual time with Deshaun, this allows her to be an individual game mode?
Mhm.
Did Deshaun do such a good job in that conversation where it made Evie feel more sure of herself to be like, no matter what Tiffany's erraticism is, I now have people on another tribe.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, I think she definitely feels that. I think Evie's confident in herself and in her social game, that she thinks that she has, like, that could be her downfall. Yes, she's a student of the game. I think she reads people well. I think she's really analyzing everything that's going on. However, I could see her get overly cocky and comfortable. Like, I'm in the middle. I'm in the best power position. I'm playing both sides. I can do this. It could come back to bite her in the ass.
Yes, so that's my second part is confidence versus hubris. And I think she had a confessional here that I think is foretelling of her not winning the game. And it was her saying, like, well, I'm going to tell secrets that aren't mine. Like, what is it going to hurt me telling Xander's secrets to someone? Like, I think maybe not with Xander specifically, but I think what's going to happen is she is going to tell the wrong person a secret about someone else, and and then it's like that one little pin drop that breaks the camel's back, and then suddenly all the secrets, everyone realizes it all stems from her, and then she goes out.
Yeah, and I don't think Deshaun is nothing against Deshaun, but like I don't think it's going to bite her in the ass telling this to Deshaun. But like you
Right.
said, if she's telling this, like, 10 days from now, and Ricard, who's no dummy when it comes to gameplay, sees that, he could be like, oh man, she's gotta go. Right. So, yeah, it's why, I mean, the thing I do like about this segment here in the show is how Evie's like, look, I'm going to play safe, but go ahead. Like, I know how this works. You risk it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of giving a little bit of, to Deshaun, like, you can trust me. And
Right.
they're definitely communicating. So I like this. I also like that we see the backstory of Deshaun.
Right.
Deshaun wasn't always a smart person. He becomes a doctor, and he kind of had a rough upbringing, but he's able now to, put everything on the line by leaving his career and shit like that right now to come play Survivor. And he loves to be there. And we see that in this confessional.
I love that. I
do
love
too.
that. Like, getting that side story of him is good. I think he's going to be a fun character as well. Like, I originally thought, like, from his like interviews and stuff, I thought, oh, maybe he's going to be like a little bit of Davey.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah,
And I think he has that potential. I just think we need more exposure to him to really pump it up.
Yep.
But do you think, because I'm also basing this a little bit off preview,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Evie wouldn't be telling Deshaun this information unless she's trying to get Xander's idol activated quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel the plan, at least from my perspective, if I'm in Evie's position and you're going to do this, I'd be like, Deshaun, this is where Xander said the idol is at our camp.
Yeah.
If you have a similar spot, look there.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys win again, or if we win again, we will pick someone from UA to go, and one of us will volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
We tell them so that by next round,
Yeah.
all three are there and we're able to activate these idols. And now we have this tight group
Right.
amongst three tribes.
Yeah. I hope it works out. I think it'll be funny to, like, at least make Xander say this bullshit by himself another time, maybe. But I think it's such a complicated type thing that if it doesn't work out, it's going to be kind of pointless.
Right.
Again, so I feel that it's definitely going to play out where everyone likes, the next time someone says some ridiculous statement at Tribal, you're going to be like, oh shit. And then the third try. So I think it's going to work itself out. But yeah, Evie tells Deshaun about how the idols work and all about Xander's game. Evie ends up doing the protection just like she said she would. Deshaun does the risk. And then we go back to the Yase tribe, day 5, still Xander and Voce talking about Tiffany again.
Right.
And so obviously, Tiffany, it makes sense. She's shitty in the challenges, and we don't know if there's going to be a swap and so forth. So, she's definitely the weakest link on the tribe. And then Evie, Liana, and Tiff want to stick to the women's alliance. And do you think that can happen? I mean, we see this time and time again try to play out.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes sometimes alliances work out. And then there's always, someone gets like the opportunity to do something crazy or make a big move, and they bail on that. But do you think, or do you like the alliance of Evie, Liana, and Tiff? I mean, it's the thing I like about it is it's 3 completely different type of people.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the diversity of this cast. And I love seeing them work together.
Yeah. It's a fun alliance. I don't think it will work out because I think they're going to keep on losing. Spoiler alert, I think they lose again because I don't think they're swapping next episode. And if it's another immunity challenge that requires like physical strength or endurance of any kind, like I think they're going to be lacking, and they just got rid of one of their puzzle people. And like, so even when you have the equalizer, you don't have the people to do it anymore. So like maybe they do pull an upset and they're now the underdog story. They win it. But I'm very high on the women of this cast, that even if this 3 in particular doesn't work out, I think there will be a grouping of women amongst this cast in general that will.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that happening. And yes, there is no, I mean, when we did the cast assessment, it was completely obvious that this tribe was the shit show tribe. And thinking about the other tribes and how strong they were in the challenge tonight, yes, this tribe really now, especially, is definitely in major, major trouble. So the girls want to stick together, but then Tiff is really paranoid. We see her talking to Liana about, look, we don't know if Sander, has something or this or that or the other. We need to vote Voce, otherwise it could be me going home. And
Okay.
I just, I don't know. I think Tiffany got very lucky this episode. Yes, she was planting this seed of Voce and save me and blah, blah, blah. But I also don't think that was, the main reason, obviously, that Voce goes home. Evie even tells Tiffany, don't worry. Like, I know that this shit is not.
I read it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so even with that, Tiffany is still paranoid. So I'm just like, dude, I couldn't work with that.
I honestly feel like at some point what they should have just said, like, yes, Voce said your name. Xander said your name too. And
Yeah.
Xander has the stuff. Let's get rid of him while he can't use the stuff.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like they're making all the right pitches, but it's just like talking to a brick wall, because like once a paranoid player is just fixate on something, that's all they see. They see red. Like they're that's all they're seeing. They're seeing the blood, apparently, that they talk about a tribal. That's just, they're bleeding everywhere. And Tiffany's just like, I want my pound of flesh, and this pound of flesh happens to be Dr. Death.
Yeah, that's right. So before we go into tribal council, we see Jeff Probst look at the camera and kind of give a little, he's talking directly to you. What do you think about this? Are you liking this style?
I don't mind this being the fourth wall talking to the audience, saying like, because it's inoffensive. It's talking in generalities that he would normally just say in front of the tribe in general. But it's just like telling the audience, just in case, like for the casual viewer, like, this is what you should expect. Like all of us, like people that are listening to podcasts, they know what we're looking for. They can read the edit. They understand, oh, are they going to go tribe strength, or are they going to go with just self-interest? And so that's pretty much what the basis of all of the questioning was as well. It was like talking about Survivor humbling you, talking about like giving backstory. And you know what? I did find it weird that the question for Voce was like, so Voce, were you always smart?
Yeah.
I was like, that's such a weird question to ask.
I know. He says,
I didn't catch on to it.
Yeah. I mean, so they're talking about like, yes, it's humbling. I feel like our tribe is on life support, Voce says. And when he says,
well, he, as a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, as a neurosurgeon. And Voce talks about how after his dad died, his mom kind of gave him the drive to do the hard work it takes to become something in life. And so I like that. I like hearing that his becoming a neurosurgeon wasn't just your typical, grow up in a wealthy family.
Right.
Maybe your dad was a doctor and that's what you do. No, Voce's dad died of brain cancer. His mom pushed him to work hard, and he wanted to freaking try to help out those that had the similar situation as his dad. So I think it was really cool. And I like Dr. Death.
I think that's one of the most, like, I think amongst everyone who's into like reading all the interviews and the bios and everything and listening to the interviews, like everyone's thinking Dr. David Voce is going to be the villain. He's going to be arrogant. He's going to be all these things. And he actually came off not just likable, but like normal. If you understand what I mean, that like I'm not saying that it's like a weird thing or like a bad thing, or it's just like, oh, this makes no sense. And as a viewer, you're like, oh, he's one of us. Like he's looking at the situation like this is what makes sense, and everyone's like, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think going into the game with him, his cast photo and even some of the footage we see throughout the game and tribal, he has a very intense demeanor about him, but he is just a nice guy. Like he's appreciative of the chance to play Survivor, and I'm really bummed that he had to go out the way he did. I think he just happened to be on a shit fucking tribe from to begin with.
In a shit situation, yeah.
In a shit situation. And I feel that it's not like the guy needs money. I don't know his personal situation. However, if you're a neurosurgeon, I imagine you're making more money than, let's say, the pastor. So, but I think he really wanted to play the game. And I know that dude has been messaging fair play all the time. And I think he's really having good times. So Voce, shout out to you, bro. If you're listening to this, we're big fans and hate to see you go tonight. Tiffany, she was at Tribal saying, hey, the Survivor's not all about the challenges, which of course you're going to say that if you're
not good at them.
Yeah, when you're the suckiest person, you're going to try to do whatever it takes. And then, Evie starts talking about, is this, alliances versus challenges. And then at the end of the day, Voce goes home. So explain to me from your perspective, let's dissect how this went down, because I know there's probably a lot of viewers out there that were like shocked to see, like, why wasn't it Xander or why wasn't it Tiffany? I mean, Tiffany was throwing Voce's name out there. Evie was like, I think getting out, I mean, it's one of those crazy things. Tiffany sucks at challenges. If you're the weakest tribe on the planet, you have to fucking do well in challenges if you don't want to go to tribal council, period.
Yeah.
Xander, although he has all this crazy advantages and wow, this guy's you already know that this guy is smart, but if he trusts Evie, then she can use that to her advantage. So why, explain to me why this was a bad move getting Voce out from your perspective.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was like talking. So I've sort of prefaced it enough. And when I say this term, I do not mean it in the literal sense.
Okay.
I am not calling Tiffany crazy.
Yep.
Because I understand the situation that she's under, like lack of food, you're like physically drained, which causes you to be mentally drained. But like the general term is you can't control crazy. Mm-hmm. In terms of that, I mean, erratic behavior due to paranoia in these situations are not helpful as an alliance member. Mm-hmm. So Evie, I feel, made a bad decision, and Liana too, because Liana went with it because I ultimately put it on Evie because I think she ultimately made the call, because I think even Liana was starting to get pissed with Tiffany for just behaving the way that she was. Right. But Voce was tight to Evie. Mm-hmm. In her self-interest, I don't know if Xander was truly blindsided or if they told Xander beforehand, because Xander says at the end, like, oh, that sucked. Like, mm-hmm. But I couldn't tell if that was that sucked. Like, oh, I was also blindsided by this, right. Or oh, it really sucked to see him go, but I understand what you guys had to do. So the question now is Evie keeping Xander around longer? Like, is he no longer the next boot in her mind? Mm-hmm. And then now we have Tiffany, and we're going to try to get Xander these idols, and maybe they can be weapons for me. It's the bad move, though, because Voce was loyal to her and to Xander. No matter which way she went, she had power, but with Voce, you had a better chance at winning your next immunity. And I know they were saying immunities don't mean anything. They do. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to believe as a Survivor player, immunities aren't the end all be all. But this early in the game, tribal immunities are so vital for you, not just because you're safe, but it gives you more time to build those bonds within your tribe.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I mean, it's huge. I mean, winning immunity. Last night my kids and I were going to watch this show called Squid Games on
Oh,
Netflix,
I heard about that.
and but we were waiting on Tessa, so I turned on Amazon and I turned on the Survivor Caramoan episode that I got voted out, right?
Right.
And we were watching it just because we were burning some time, and I haven't watched it in forever. And it shows the challenge, like where I lost. I'm on a tribe with. I was telling my kids, I'm like, look, I'm on a tribe with Philip Shepard and Cochran and and then look at the other tribe. It's like Malcolm and Eddie and Reynold and Brenda and Eric, all these people. I was like, dude, like if I would have just been on a tribe there that would have won challenges, I would have still been in the fucking game. I was playing with an erratic person named Philip Shepard. And so it's like, it's majorly important. And I don't think that they're going to do a swap next episode. So guaranteed this tribe is going to lose again. There is no fucking chance that they win a challenge, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If they do, I mean, fuck.
Yeah. But also the other situation, because it wasn't really brought up this episode. If Tiffany's paranoid now, and now you don't have the Vochi fallback, guess who's most likely playing her shot in the dark?
Oh, yeah.
And like knowing production's luck, she's going to hit.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And like I said, I'm happy that Tiffany is out there. I thought she was going to be a first boot. The fact that she's still in the game and she got to find out the night before she was leaving, she wasn't even on the cast, and then she gets on the cast. So more power to you, Tiffany.
And she got what she wanted.
She did. She did. Man, this game.
I love this.
I'm digging it. Survivor is back, you guys. I don't know. Is Johnny Fairplay going to be back next week, or is he going to be on at another concert? Who knows? Tonight he's at Guns N' Roses, but tonight Alex and I were here breaking it down. We are so stoked to bring you guys all the coverage. And just so you guys know, if you like our podcast and you want to see more on our Patreon side, we do a weekly Q&A where Johnny and I answer all kinds of crazy questions. It's our favorite podcast of the week. We're also watching Australian Survivor 2018, breaking that down. We do game nights, ad-free NSFW.com. Go check that out. And then there's also a new deep dive podcast under the umbrella of Reality NSFW. Alice, can you give us a little bit of insight on that additional podcast if you want to hear more season 41 coverage?
Oh, yeah, of course. So with the deep dive, that's our fellow co-host of the Challenge podcast, Lauren Pratt, which the Challenge will be back tomorrow at around 4:30-ish. And Alex Rubino, who was a late addition to the Big Brother podcast that we are doing this season. They are super fans of this show. They will be providing a deep dive, I believe, on Mondays at 5. Going over the episode, going a little deeper than just the initial reactions that we get to do. They get some more time to really analyze it and really go through what happened. And they rank the players based off what we're seeing in the edit and how they just see them as players themselves.
That's so awesome. So you guys make sure to check all that out and spread the word. If you love Survivor and reality TV in general, we got a lot of shit going on here at Reality NSFW. So Alex, thank you so much. Super fun episode. And we will see you guys next week breaking down episode 3 of season 41. Love you all and good night. Cheers.
Cheers.
Autumn is in the air, the pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure you don't carve your pants pumpkins when you're grooming, if you know what I'm saying. Make sure you're keeping things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th generation performance package. Boys, get ready for cuffing season like no other. Ready to take the leap into fall with Manscaped? Join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with promo code SURVIVOR.
Now, listen, I have had my fair share of mishaps in the past. And going into Halloween, the guys like to dress scary. The girls like to dress inviting. And as a result, you're bound to get your pants down if you do things right. Well, you don't want a big bush down there. You want those things freshly trimmed, shaved so perfectly. Don't use a razor. Go to Manscaped. It's the only way, or you will not be getting treats, but only tricks.
It's time to bundle up with the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies.
First off, the new Performance Package 4.0 includes the new Lawnmower 4.0. And if you're looking to cozy up this fall, this trimmer is essential.
Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It also gives you the ability to turn a 4,000 LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave, plus it's waterproof.
I hate shaving in the dark. That 4,000 LED spotlight, perfect. But the Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. So you use the Lawnmower 4.0 for your rear, use this for your ears. This nose and hair trimmer uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system to provide proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps against nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes.
Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant. Everyone knows pumpkin spice lattes and ball deodorant go hand in hand.
That's all they're talking about at Target these days. It's crazy. Then after trimming the pumpkin patch and whacking the leaves, give your balls a boost and use the Crop Reviver. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. You see me on the road, I have the Manscaped Shed Travel Bag with me everywhere I go. Get comfy on the home and on the go this season.
So get 20% off and free shipping with the code SURVIVOR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code SURVIVOR at manscaped.com. Make your balls a priority this fall. Choose Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
Promo code SURVIVOR. I've been trying to cut down on carbs, sugar, and unhealthy food, and realize I basically can't eat anything anymore. I mean, I used to love eating that delicious cereal, but I can't. But wait, I can, thanks to Magic Spoon.
0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. That's only 140 calories a serving.
It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. Plus, build your own box. Available flavors to build your very own custom bundle are cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and my new favorite, maple waffle.
Magic Spoon just recently brought back 2 super popular flavors, cookies and cream and maple waffle, just like you're talking about, Johnny, permanently. When these flavors were first introduced for a limited time, they sold out extremely quickly. You should make sure to get these again and try them for the first time. They're delicious and indulgent.
Every morning I wake up, I look into my cabinets. All I have is Magic Spoon cereal. I have all the options. And I'm like, I'll do a little bit of I'll mix some cookies and cream with a little cinnamon, maybe cocoa and peanut butter. But oh man, that maple waffle just by itself is just something so spectacular. Hey, they're perfect not only for breakfast, but that guiltless midnight snack.
So go to magicspoon.com/survivor to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code SURVIVOR at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/survivor and use promo code SURVIVOR to save $5 off. And thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this podcast.